the brightness of this day has given me the opportunity to bring you this video. Welcome back. Hey. Move forward. Welcome back to my channel, Winging It with AC. My name is AC. So in my previous video, I gave my opinion on the arguments that Claire and Aka had about breastfeeding, and I did mention that I would later on talk about some of the ways that husbands or partners can support their wives who are breastfeeding or pumping. Now, some mothers breastfeed directly, and others are what they call exclusive pumpers. So some babies just decide that they don't want the breast. They'll drink the milk, all right, but they don't want the breast. So then some mothers resort to exclusively pumping. So we're going to be talking about both. Now, the first thing I'd like to say is that as the husband or as the partner, the first advice I would give is the same way that we say that the women, the mothers should learn all they can about breastfeeding. In that same way, you also should watch or learn as much as you can about breastfeeding. It's like going for antenatal class where it's like both husband and wife are there, so both of you are getting educated, and it's not just a one-sided education. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is that ask your wife. So when the process begins, ask your wife, how can I help you? How do you need my help in supporting you with this breastfeeding, with the pumping? And then listen to what she has to say and do your best to do that for her. Now, another thing I would say is that whenever she is pumping, so if she's sitting down to pump, if the baby is not asleep, take the baby and rock the baby, play with the baby, take a walk with the baby, so that she can focus entirely on the pumping. Because once you sit down to pump, the way it's set up, you don't want to get up and walk about, or like you can't get up, and you don't want to stop mid-flow to now go and attend to something and come back. It just disrupts the whole thing. So you want to sit down. If you are doing it for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, once you sit down, you're not getting up till you're done. So that's one. The second thing is that if she's pumping, sometimes there were times where I used to see my pumping sessions as my alone time. So I would go and hide in the guest room and pump, or I'll be sitting at the living room table pumping while watching a movie, catching up on my WhatsApp messages and Instagram and like social media. So it was kind of like my alone time, my me time. Sometimes I'm not even watching anything, I'm just sitting down, just staring into space, and just my mind is just roaming. But it felt like it was just me alone. And as much as the pumping can feel like a chore sometimes, pumping alone, just sitting down, just made me feel like I'm just having my space to have my thoughts to myself. So in the same way I spoke about it earlier, in that instance, just allow her to pump and you take care of the baby. The baby is not asleep. Now, I also need you to be on call, so be ready to support her with anything she needs. So if she's sitting down to pump or she's breastfeeding, so sometimes you sit down, breastfeeding confidence, like it's even longer than pumping, because once you sit down to breastfeed, you don't know when you're going to get up. It could be 30 minutes later, your baby is done. It could be 45 minutes later, and your baby is done. It could be an hour later before your baby decides, okay, I'm done, before you can actually get up. So if she sits down to breastfeed or pump, please be on call, so that if she needs something, she needs a glass of water, she needs a snack, she needs food. There were times where while I'm pumping or I'm breastfeeding, Richard would be feeding me because I'm hungry. Like I was just about to eat lunch or dinner, and then Sarah wakes up and I need to feed him, and I'm also hungry, so I'm breastfeeding and Richard is feeding me as well. So be on call to help out with any requests that she may have, if you're home at the time that she's breastfeeding or she's pumping. And then another thing that I would say is pray for her, because breastfeeding, yes, I always tell people, I kept saying that WHO says try and breastfeed, exclusive breastfeeding, and breastfeed for 2 years, yada yada yada, but it is hard. Nobody talks about how hard it is, you know. So it's not an easy journey. It's worth it. So give her the support that she needs, give her the moral support that she needs, give her the encouragement that she needs. And sometimes the pumping time or the breastfeeding time was also our time together. So I'm pumping, and then that's when maybe he's come back from work, maybe Sarah may be in his rocker, and then all I want is for him to sit by me and we just talk, as my Nigerians would say, just with each other, catch up on what happened during the day, or like anything. It's just like another time where you just spend time together, so that it makes the process of pumping less tedious, or breastfeeding less tedious. Because sometimes you may feel alone, everybody's going about their day, and you want to get up, but it's been 30 minutes and your child is not done, and you cannot get up and go anywhere. So sometimes it's nice to just have somebody sitting there, your spouse, your sister, or whatever, but in this case it's not about the spouse, and you're just chatting, you're just talking about anything, nothing that is stressful. And you also need to remember that stress inhibits the production of breastfeeding. So you don't want to stress out your wife with any arguments while she's pumping or breastfeeding. That's the last thing you want to do. So don't pick those times as a time where, oh, let's talk about this thing that happened, or let's talk about that issue that happened, or this argument that we didn't resolve, or we didn't finish talking about. That's not the time to do that. I think that will be all, at least from my side, how I think that husbands can support their wives. And the other thing is, one thing that I've learned from something that Jocelyn of Pregnancy Matters says is that it's like the first, I think she has an acronym for it, but it's like the first 2 or 3 weeks after birth, your cycle should be wake up, breastfeed, eat, rest, wake up. You should be in bed the entire time. So you need that support. Your wife, your partner needs that support to just, it's either she's resting or she's breastfeeding or she's eating. Resting, breastfeeding, eating. I know they say that it's hard to sleep when baby sleeps, but you just have to be in bed. Don't be now washing dishes or something, especially the first 2 to 3 weeks after birth. That should be your routine, and you as the husband, the spouse, the partner should be on call to be able to make that possible, so that she's not worrying about the fact that maybe the house needs to be cleaned or cooking needs to be done or something. Just handle all of that as much as you can, and then outsource. Or if you can't do the cleaning, just outsource. I don't know why this thing is so dark. Just outsource the cleaning. If you can, outsource your cooking. If you can, just try and make your life as easy or as simple as possible. Now, if you have any other tips that I did not mention in the video, please feel free to write it down in the comments section and share it with whoever you think will need this information. If my video looks washed out, I don't know why it's looking that way. I don't know if it is the sun, I don't know what's going on, or there's a setting that has gone wrong on my camera, but please forgive it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.